up my phone to where I don't have to hold it the whole time. And in the process of doing so, I was knocking over all my foils because they're in
Ah,
sleep, brand new, so they're slippery.
hey, you're back. All right, gentlemen. Now, intro music. Da 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 da. Cody, Garrett, Nate, Martin Luther King, I Have a Dream, blah 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 blah. All the intro, and intro. The People's Podcast. Welcome to the People's Podcast. I'm Cody Amstoy with my hosts, Garrett Fitzpatrick and Nate Van Cleese. Nate and Garrett, how y'all doing today?
Doing pretty good. How about you?
Doing awesome. Nate, can you hear us?
Oh, yes, I can. I'm doing fantastic, comrades. Ready to smash the bourgeois.
That is awesome. All right. Well, today is our pilot episode, and today's episode is on the Bill of Rights expansion. We're going to go into more of that later. Right now, just a quick couple minutes of banter. Garrett, I see your turn sideways there.
Yes. So that I don't have to hold.
Whatever, we'll take it. We can see you and hear you. Nate, everything good on your end?
Yeah, everything's fine.
All right. Now, topic intro. As y'all know, as I said earlier, and this was Garrett's idea for the pilot episode, expansion on the Bill of Rights. Now, the history of it. So, Bill of Rights, as we know, went back to the Revolutionary War. Garrett, you did the, I guess, subject study that we agreed upon, correct?
Yes, partially.
All right. What do you know of the history of the Bill of Rights?
Well, the Bill of Rights was originally it wasn't originally included in the Constitution. But as the government was developing, they discovered that the Constitution wasn't quite good enough. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
That is, ladies and gentlemen, that is our subject matter expert. Uh-oh. Just giving you shit, Garrett. All right, Nate, what do you know about the history of the Bill of Rights?
I don't know enough. Surprisingly enough, I was actually going to ask Garrett the clarifying question of why exactly it wasn't enough.
All right. Well, thank God. This is.
We're good. All the mistakes are going to happen on the call. So there winds up being no more mistakes. So.
Right, we're all going to know because we're all going to Google. We're going to study what it is, so we don't look like this, which is jackasses right now.
And another good idea might be, actually writing the blueprint on paper to reference during the call because I cannot pull it up with my lack of fancy computer during the call. So I'm going completely blind here.
Yeah, I have it right in front of me. I sent it to y'all, so just right before it happens, just write it down like you said. All right, so we went over history today. I don't know. We have a Bill of Rights to this day. Cool. All right. Now, the points. You what?
So maybe okay. So one thing I really need to interject. I'm strolling around because I'm looking for an outlet outside of my room, and I just found one.
Gotcha.
So I'm gonna plug my phone in there and grab a notepad and a pen, so I'm not like crashing in the middle of this. But I think we should really take notes as we're doing this with things we need to do. So
right. One
thing that comes to mind right away is research the creation of the Bill of Rights and why, and kind of like handwrite this information into the blueprint as we go. We need to be pretty vigilant, micromanaging at least the recording of what needs fixed or what is good as we do it. So
Right. Okay, so now points. Oh, which is today. So, Garrett, this being your main point, you're our main guy for this particular episode. Nate, just one little thing. So, I think we should each take turns like picking a topic and then doing the research for that topic and then being like the quote unquote topic master for that particular podcast. What do y'all think? And kind of like help lead it. It'll kind of spread the work load. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We don't have to. It's just an idea I'm pitching.
It's probably best to play it by just feel it out, see how it feels. You know, like if
Right.
one episode feels right for one person to do it, then that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Right. All right. So let's get back on track now. So we're at our points section. Next section is Devil's Advocate. Garrett, me and you have been looking forward to this one. So our points. So Bill of Rights, discuss difference. So Garrett, what is the difference? Now you said when me and you were talking in an earlier date, you said the Bill of Rights expansion would be an expansion of natural rights and not given rights. Can you explain to our audience what the difference between natural rights and given rights are?
Absolutely. Although I will say that I do think we should include some expansion of given rights. The difference between them, natural rights are rights that exist outside of any system.
Mhm.
Food, water, the basic requirements of life, things that people would have regardless of any system that they exist in. The only
Mhm.
thing the system can do is take it away. It can't give it. A
Right.
given right, on the other hand, exists only because the system exists.
Mhm.
Things like voting, things like access to clean water. That those exist. I mean,
I
by
think a
clean
couple
water,
of other examples you were telling me earlier was like electricity, internet, healthcare.
right, exactly. Electricity need that to survive in these modern times. Internet, it makes it extremely hard for anyone to find a job in this system without access to the internet, which puts them at an economic disadvantage.
Mhm.
You see why those are things that people do need in the current system, but they don't exist outside of that system.
Right. So I just had a thought. So the three already given things are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Under life, well, you need food and water to live. So could we just make food and water I guess, a sub expansion on that one, on that particular one?
We can. Nope. Right.
um, I think instead of complicating the concept with terms like a sub expansion, just call them listed items within that topic. Because if we're talking about given rights pursuant to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, those are the three separate categories within the given rights. And food and water are just items within that. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Fair
Right.
point. I will, however, note this is important for people to know because a lot of people think that life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness is something guaranteed to us. In fact, it is not. It is something that is listed in the Declaration of Independence, which does not have any legal value. It doesn't hold any bondage.
Okay.
So, in fact, we need to take what is talked about in the Declaration and codify it into law.
Yes, by
Okay.
listing out the factors that are like part of those three.
Exactly.
And I think that's the key difference is explicitly stating them versus inferring them. Because in the Declaration they infer them, And as was the case with my Facebook post a couple of weeks ago that you commented on, where in when pursuit of happiness is impeded, the factors impacting your pursuit need to be removed. Retaliate or die.
Right.
So these are inferred. There's the inferred. It's two sides of the same coin. There's the inferred components that make up these three, and there's also all the things on the opposite side that are inferred that people don't explicitly state that prevent them from materializing.
Okay.
Right. Exactly. On that note, right? Rights are typically guaranteed, but within our current system, right, there's not really much restriction preventing people and governments from hindering your ability to exercise those rights, so long as you still can. That's something we should also address.
Okay, awesome. Now, Nate, I want to ask you this question first, and then Garrett. That way, you have a chance to answer a topic first. How would you implement the new expansion, or whatever you would like to call it?
The primary focus for me that would kind of act as an umbrella under which everything else is attached or falls under is like he said, the protections. And you can frame this as a basic dichotomy of liberty versus protection. Those that claim liberty are almost always the ones aiming to achieve what they are allowed to, despite how it affects other people's. And and then in terms of what most leftist and reformist or revolutionary, you could just say generally, peoples and parties try to achieve in the name of protection.
Right.
We have been oppressed or disenfranchised, and we are taking the system back in order to protect ourselves, to combat this concept of liberty that has been allowed to run rampant and
Okay.
And,
Garrett?
Yes.
I'm sorry. It sounded like you paused and stopped, but I guess it was the audio.
It's the first time I'm just like, I trailed off. Go ahead, Garrett.
Sorry, audio's fucking up.
Yeah.
You were asking about how I would implement?
Correct.
It depends on which specific rights you're talking about. The most interesting one to me, the one that most people are going to have questions about, is land access housing. Because we've already talked about, natural rights need to be guaranteed, and living is one of them, and you require land upon which to live or a home in which to live.
Mm-hmm.
So how do we guarantee that? Well, the reason people don't have access right now is because we have unlimited property ownership. People are allowed to own as much as they want, which prevents other people from having it. It's supply and demand.
Right.
Also, by them buying up these massive amounts of property, they reduce the amount of available land, thereby driving the price of housing up. So what we need to do in that regard is simply set limits based on usage on how much an individual or group can own. If you're a farmer, you can have an amount of land suitable for that task. If you want a home for a family of 5, you can have an amount of land or a house suitable to that task.
All right. Awesome.
So what we're basically talking about is, further down the line, we have to quantify the exact amount,
Yes.
which is allowed. Past that is not allowed. But the basic concept is, acquiring too much wealth directly steals the wealth from everyone else who it is allowed to, who are entitled to it, according to what we are all aiming to achieve in the first place, as leftist revolutionary parties and people. We all are of equal value, and we all deserve equal share in the wealth. That's it.
Okay.
I've been up for like 2.5 days, so bear with me.
Nate, what would you do if you were to find someone just kind of kicking back and just kind of taking advantage of the system and they're young, they're able-bodied, but they're completely taking advantage of the system? What would you say to punish them or motivate them, or how would you go about dealing with this individual?
Well, I think there are several inherent complexities to that premise. My first thought when you say taking advantage of the system is in an ideal situation, not in an ideal. I don't know which phrase to use. Community, land, people's, country. I'm not sure what phrase to use. Collective. And I'll just use community for now. In an ideal community, there wouldn't be that much. There would be the smallest fraction that would have to be accomplished compared to what we currently are. So that's a basic logical dichotomy that would need addressed right away. So I could instantly say that it's pretty safe to say that the premise of your question is false compared to what I am imagining off the jump. You know what I mean? Or other people. I think the inherent premise of that, I think the inherent conflict of that premise is capitalism versus ownership by the people. And when the people own everything, there is not that much that needs to be done. You need to grow food, make sure your shelter is sturdy enough to withstand the elements, and that's about it. You know what I mean? Like, there's not that much that needs to be done. And so, basically I would, I don't want to dive too deep into that question that you asked before kind of fleshing out. But basically, that major point, basically, like what is taking advantage of the system versus,
what do you mean by there's not going to be much work? I mean,
let me check here.
Like, are you saying like farming isn't hard work, or building a home, or?
If we're
may I?
Yes,
yeah, Garrett.
Trying to say is that if we set up the system right, a lot of the loopholes that people use to take advantage of the system now wouldn't exist, right? Because if we're talking about limiting the amount of property a person can own, right, we're not going to have people sitting there buying up a bunch of fucking homes and making income off of other people's labor by just owning the land, that they need to live on. And also in an ideal system, we want to stay away from punitive justice as much as possible. I hesitate to even call it justice. We want to aim more towards rehabilitation and prevention in the first place.
Okay, awesome. So now, go ahead.
Specifically regarding prevention, like I was talking about with like the basic needs of food, shelter, water. Like those are basic needs. So, and if everyone knows how to garden, then your average citizen could stroll through the community garden and literally turn the soil a couple times, or literally drop a couple seeds, and their contribution to the food supply for the entire community is literally accomplished with such little effort and time exerted, because everyone is educated and involved in that.
Also on the farming subject, little bit jumping off topic here, but I think it's important to note that there are agricultural methods that we can use that require far less effort and have increased yields over the monocropping that we use now.
Okay. So now it is time for the thought game Garrett came up with, Devil's Advocate. That is where I will play either, what was it? Republican Randy or Libertarian Larry or Democrat Danny. Democrat Dan. Yeah, that's right. And any ideas and questions y'all have, I will play as that red, blue, or yellow role. Just for funsies, let's go with Republican Randy for our first one, shall we?
Which is my dad's name, ironically enough.
Nice. All right. Let's see. Why and how is it going to be a positive thing? This social, everyone owns the workforce. How will it benefit me? All right.
Take that one. So, with increased economic viability for each individual, everyone has increased economic freedom.
Hold on, you just said $1 million words, and I only got 25 cents in my pocket. Can you break that down for me?
If you have more money, you can do more shit.
But how am I going to get more money?
By owning the means of production.
How do I own what?
I will handle that, Mr. Republican Randy. Everyone would get more money because there would be rigid systems in place to ensure that everyone contributing to the work effort would seek direct correlations in the form of returns paid back to them because of that effort.
All right, so say I go to McDonald's. How much money am I making there as a burger flipper?
Well, McDonald's has been abolished, so next question.
I mean, he's not wrong. National chains would be gone because, obviously, the group McDonald's has way more property than what would eventually be allowed by groups.
All right.
Okay, so
that was too funny.
Okay, the fuck out of that. Can you please repeat the question, Cody?
Which one?
We're 20 cents ahead of ourselves at all times. It's fucking hilarious.
Oh, how much money am I gonna be making if I go be a burger flipper at McDonald's?
Well, because food is a given right guaranteed to all, a burger flipper at McDonald's or any other food establishment would be making at least as much as every other occupation, if not more, because it is such an essential service for life to be sustained.
Yeah, that sounds pretty nice to me. I don't know how it all works, but I guess y'all worry about that, and I'll just flip them burgers. Are there going to be any short-term negative effects?
Oh, Garrett wants in.
What's up?
Huh? I was saying, I was just trying to make a joke. I was like, I don't know of any Republican that would be that reasonable.
No, right? Way too easy, Cody.
Are there going to be any negative effects, like short term or long term, with all these?
I
Well-
mean, with any given system, there's always the potential for negative effects. The important thing is that we
Yeah.
have systems in place to deal with it when it happens.
All right, well, I like to go hunting. I like my guns. I like to work hard. Is any of that going to be? I like my truck. Is any of that going to be affected?
Sorry, repeat that. I missed part of it.
So we got hunting, guns, and trucks. What else? What else was mentioned in that? I'll address them all. Let's do it.
I like my beer. Like,
Oh, beer, heck yeah. Well, you know,
Alexa,
who doesn't like to chemically offset the stresses of the day, you know, in a safe manner, and as long as you're not harming anyone else.
so you're telling me under this
That's
new
right.
system,
What was
my guns won't be touched?
No,
no,
you
we probably have an expansion of the ability to own weapons.
What about my truck? Can I keep my truck?
oh,
Yes,
definitely.
and you would probably
You
be
know,
able to afford better.
let me get in here, Garrett. Jesus. All
All right.
right. So
Now,
regarding the truck, I really like the truck question because
because I know all these Green Party people say my truck's bad, but with technology, my truck gets better gas mileage than a truck did 10 years ago, even more so than 20 years ago.
yes, and even if you were using a truck from 20 years ago, there are factors that the system has built itself around that would be eliminated far enough down the line where, you know, one example is suburban sprawl. You know, if people are not forced to have to travel such long distances to get these jobs merely to survive, then of course there would be so much more of a buffer left for everyone to be able to leisurely be able to use their trucks, and it wouldn't have an impact on the environment, an impact on the environment. You know.
Especially if everyone gets that new Tesla space truck. Man, that looks cool. All right. That's going to wrap up Devil's Advocate.
You really like stayed dug into that role. It was throwing me for a fucking loop, man. That's good though. I need that. I need that like stress carrying here to fucking.
Dude, that was a good idea that me and Garrett came up with.
I love the devil's advocate concept. We should really like adhere to that every day. We should call each other every day. We should do this every fucking day.
And
I think.
Yeah,
what I would also like to see done with it is when you're say Nate, you're doing you know, going on like describing something, or Garrett, you're doing it. I'll be like I, you know, told you, Nate, like I come from like a conservative family and everything. So I know the other side of the argument. So anything that I know that they would throw at you, I'm probably going to throw at you. That way,
Yeah.
you know, like,
And you know, because like when we were talking on the phone the other day, you know, I was talking about like the similarities in our evolution and stuff. But you know, I'm older. I've been entrenched in leftist mentalities for probably longer. You're younger. You remember those roots that we were both raised in far better than I do.
Yeah.
And you're like actively in the military, whereas I did 5 years and got out a whole fucking decade ago. So
I just hit my 5-year mark May 4th.
I'm saying right now that your knowledge of those mentalities, which I used to have the same knowledge of, you know, I need to be reminded of that knowledge. I you know, so you know, basically keep doing.
I think it'll keep us on our toes.
Definitely, yeah. You're definitely keeping me on my toes already, which is fucking awesome.
Honestly, we might even want to like every once in a while invite someone from the actual side we're debating to come on and present their own arguments.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
And I clarified that in the Nexus group. Cody, you're not in it, but I'm sure you saw it, Garrett.
No, I'm in it.
we're gonna be.
I've been getting it on my Facebook posts
You invited
and
it,
shit.
remember?
Yeah, yesterday.
Yeah, to the group, but not to the administrator messenger group within
Right.
Next,
Oh yeah, got you.
which is where I shared the format. And I don't think I
Right.
shared the video in that group yet. So.
No.
So, gentlemen, we're coming to our summarization. After this, we'll probably talk for a little bit, but this is where I'm going to stop the recording after we summarize and wrap up. So, expansion on the Bill of Rights. We want to add food, water, and food, water, and land to that. So, with that, Garrett, do you have any ending remarks over whatever was discussed today?
Still sticking to the preferred format, and then we're recapping later. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, we're gonna recap in like 2 minutes.
Okay.
As soon as I stop the recording.
For sure.
All right. I guess I would just like to end with saying that, the earth belongs to all those born of it. I don't think anyone can disagree with that.
Mm-hmm.
And if we can agree on ethical positions, then the implementation can be worked out.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Nate, do you have any closing remarks?
Yes. I think that the anticipation of I think the acknowledgement of having to do far too much in order to achieve far too little, both for ourselves individually and as a collective community, is really the core of what we're rooted in right now, and just keep in mind that these economic forces that control us, namely capitalism, are once those are removed, we will all be able to exert far less effort to be much more well fed and be able to be much more leisurely, get paid much more, and I'm not going to single out any one category, but that will be the basic trend that shows itself along every other category that accelerates into shared wealth for all, created by all, received by all.
All right, awesome. Well, with that, thank you for joining us with the United People's Podcast. Y'all have a wonderful day, and stop recording.